Hello, hello, and welcome back to our Monday night stream. Just gonna get everything set up here. Yes, the sun has set. It is now all but completely dark outside, and we will be taking a look tonight at the werewolf from the water. Werewolf from the water. Okay, our audio is good. YouTube is displaying this properly. They seem to fix whatever their issue was recently. So, indeed, in case you don't know, again, this is a part of my new Monday night series. Every Monday evening, we take a look at some paranormal themed article or maybe a story or whatever. I read it and we maybe discuss it if there's anything to be said about it, or maybe we don't. So, without further ado, this is an article from mysteriousuniverse.org, as I usually go to. And basically what the article is, so you know what to expect, is the first half is recounting a little bit of history about this creature, and the second half is a story that someone claims to have experienced with either this creature or something just like it. So that is what we have here. All right. This is Profiling the Water-Based Werewolf by Nick Redfern. It's a fact that within Scottish lore and legend there are tales of what we can term as wolfmen, but for which the creatures are known as Wulvers, and which spend much of their time in deep waters. In an excellent article, Kristen Scott says of these very often water-based wolfmen that, quote, Wulvers are fond of fishing and are sometimes called the fishing werewolf. They can create fishing supplies out of resources that surround them, either stealing or making them by hand. They are frequently spotted fishing for their daily meal of silax and piltax, perched upon a small rock known as a Wulver's Stain, which is located in a deep water loch. Wulvers are patient creatures and can spend hours upon hours catching fish. Wulvers are also powerful swimmers and use their speed to catch fast-moving fish in the rivers and small lochs nearby. End quote. In her 1933 book, Shetland Traditional Lore, the noted folklorist Jessie Margaret Saxby wrote, quote, The Wulver was a creature like a man with a wolf's head. He had short brown hair all over him. His home was a cave dug out of the side of a steep knowe, halfway up a hill. He didn't molest folk if folk didn't molest him. He was fond of fishing and had a small rock in the deep water which is known to this day as the Wulver's Stain. There he would sit, fishing silax and piltax for hour after hour. He was reported to have frequently left a few fish on the windowsill of some poor body. End quote. Unlike the traditional werewolf, the Wulver was not a shapeshifter. Its semi-human, semi-wolf appearance was natural and unchanging. One of the most fascinating and certainly disturbing accounts of a Wulver came from Elliot O'Donnell. Shortly after the start of the 20th century, O'Donnell interviewed a man named Andrew Warren, who had a startling story to tell. O'Donnell carefully recorded every word that Warren had to say. The priceless account reads, I was about 15 years of age at the time, and had for several years been residing with my grandfather, who was an elder in the Kirk Church of Scotland. He was much interested in geology, and literally filled the house with fossils from the pits and caves round where we dwelt. One morning he came home in a great state of excitement, and made me go with him to look at some ancient remains he had found at the bottom of a dried-up tarn lake. Look, he cried, bending down and pointing at them. Here is a human skeleton with a wolf's head, What do you make of it? I told him I did not know, but supposed it must be some kind of monstrosity. It's a werewolf, he rejoined. That's what it is, a werewolf. This island was once overrun with satyrs and werewolves. Help me carry it to the house. I did as he bid me, and we placed it on the table in the back kitchen. That evening I was left alone in the house, my grandfather and the other members of the household having gone to the kirk. For some time I amused myself reading, and then, fancying I heard a noise in the back premises, I went into the kitchen. There was no one about, and becoming convinced that it could only have been a rat that had disturbed me, I sat on the table alongside the alleged remains of the werewolf, and waited to see if the noises would recommence. I was thus waiting in a listless sort of way, my back bent, my elbows on my knees, looking at the floor and thinking of nothing in particular, when there came a loud rat-tat-tat of knuckles on the window pane. I immediately turned in the direction of the noise and encountered, to my alarm, a dark face looking in at me. At first dim and indistinct, it became more and more complete, until it developed into a very perfectly defined head of a wolf terminating in the neck of a human being. Though greatly shocked, my first act was to look in every direction for a possible reflection, but in vain. There was no light either without or within, other than that from the setting sun, nothing that could in any way have produced an illusion. I looked at the face and marked each feature intently. It was unmistakably a wolf's face, the jaws slightly distended, the lips wreathed in a savage snarl, the teeth sharp and white, the eyes light green, the ears pointed. The expression of the face was diabolically malignant, and as it gazed straight at me, my horror was as intense as my wonder. This it seemed to notice, for a look of savage exultation crept into its eyes, and it raised one hand, a slender hand, like that of a woman, though with prodigiously long and curved fingernails, menacingly, as if about to dash in the window pane. Remembering what my grandfather had told me about evil spirits, I crossed myself, but as this had no effect, and I really feared the thing would get at me, I ran out of the kitchen and shut and locked the door, remaining in the hall till the family returned. My grandfather was much upset when I told him what had happened, and attributed my failure to make the spirit depart to my want of faith. Had he been there, he assured me, he would soon have got rid of it, but he nevertheless made me help him remove the bones from the kitchen, and we reinterred them in the very spot where we had found them, and where, for aught I know to the contrary, they still lie. And that's the end of the story in the article. So that was rather unsettling. Imagine seeing that, the face of a wolf appearing in your kitchen window. I can hardly imagine my reaction to that. As for what that was, if assuming that story is true, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I suppose if they had dug up the bones of such a creature, then the most obvious guess is that it would have been sort of spiritually, metaphysically linked to its remains, to its bones, and by their taking the bones back into their house, they made themselves quite easily a match to its disembodied, disincarnate spirit, and thus it showed up for them in the window. A sort of symbolic invitation to this wolf-like entity. So that's about it. I guess this one is a bit short and sweet, but yeah, as soon as I saw that article, I thought this is way too interesting. I have to do a little stream on this, and so I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and remember, I do these every Monday evening now. These are the Monday night paranormal themed streams, and so until next Monday, stay safe out there, everyone. Bye for now.